Hi, welcome to the day 9 of 10-minute wrap-up series. In this video, I will give you a ready-made template to write an answer on the most important theme of social justice, that is vulnerable sections, which include women, children, elderly population, SCs or STs, or persons with disability. Every question on social justice revolve around these vulnerable sections. So, how this template can be used? Whenever there is a question on any vulnerable section, you can use these dimensions to generate the points. Now, let us start. In the introduction, you can start with defining the vulnerable sections. That is, sections of society at the heightened risk of marginalization due to socio-economic and cultural or political disadvantages. Let me explain by taking an woman as an example. If there is a question on women, you can start with women have a long faced social, economic, and political exploitation, making their struggle central to the fight for social justice and equality. I repeat, women have long faced social, economic, and political exploitation, making their struggle central to the fight for social justice and equality. And also, you can start by writing a quote that is given by Amartya Sen for wider interpretation of your answer. Development is incomplete without the justice for the most vulnerable. And the next dimension is constitutional backing, that is fundamental rights and DPSP. After the introduction, you can enrich your answer by writing the constitutional dimension. For example, Article 14, that is right to equality, Article 15, Clause 3, that is protective discrimination, Article 21, that is right to life, and also directive principle of state policy, that is Article 39, promote welfare of the people. For example, Article 39A, that is free legal aid service to the poor, Article 46, promote educational and social economic interest of weaker section, that is SCs, STs, and other backward communities. Whenever there is a question on women, you can write an example of Article 15, Clause 3, that is protection of women and children. And in the DPSP, you can write you can quote the Article 39D, that is equal pay for equal work. Now we will see the significance of uplifting these vulnerable sections. First one is it promotes inclusive growth, it ensures equity over equality, social justice, that is core feature of Indian Constitution, which is mentioned in the preamble, breaking intergenerational cycles of deprivation, alignment with the SDG, protecting human rights, reducing structural inequalities, demographic dividend utilization. These are the same points you can write to every answer on the vulnerable section. For example, if there is a question on women, the same points can be written, but the examples changes. For example, intergenerational cycles of deprivation. For example, women faces the issue of triple burden, that is discrimination based on caste, gender, and economic marginalization, that is poverty. And also, while writing the point on alignment to the SDG, you can mention SDG 5, that is gender equality. You can write these same points for the question on any vulnerable section, but the example changes. Now we'll see what are the challenges. Implementation gaps, leakage and corruption, exclusion errors, social stigma and discrimination, digital divide, low awareness of rights and schemes, budgetary constraints, underrepresentation in the institutions. In the challenges also, the same points can be written for any vulnerable section, but you should change the example. For example, whenever there is a question on women underrepresentation in the institutions, for example, Lok Sabha 2024 has a women representation of only 13%. Also, in the point of budgetary constraint, you can quote fiscal policy of 2025 and 26. The percentage of union budget for women is only 8%. And also, in the point of digital divide, only 56% of the rural women have phones, mobile phones. On the contrary, 81% of the men have phones. Now, let us see what are the implications or impacts of these challenges. The first point is exclusion from welfare benefits, human development stagnation, low HDI, that is Human Development Index or Multi-Dimensional Poverty Index scores. For example, India ranks 130th in HDI score. low trust in the public institutions, widening the income and social inequality. For example, there is a 33% income gap between men and the women. Now we'll see the next dimension, that is steps taken so far. Whenever there is a question that what are the government steps taken to uplift a particular vulnerable group, you can think on these lines and generate points. That is, what are the constitutional safeguards, what are the acts passed, schemes, commissions, and other policies. For example, in the constitutional safeguards, you can quote the articles of Article 15, Clause 3, that is protective discrimination, Article 17, that is abolition of untouchability, Article 46, that is promote economic and social needs of weaker section. In the Acts, SCEST Prevention of Atrocities Act, Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016. This was asked twice by UPSC. In the schemes PM Vikas for Skill Development, Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, and the Smile Scheme for Transgender Population. And also the commissions, that is National Commission on Women, NHRC Human Rights Commission, National Commission on Protection of Child Rights, National Commission on ST, Mission Shakti for Women, Gender Budgeting in Union Budget. Let me take an example and explain to generate the points. Whenever there is a question on SC, that is, what are the steps taken by the government so far to uplift the weaker section, that is scheduled caste. You can think on these dimensions and generate points. Let me explain you. In the constitutional dimension, you can write Article 14, that is abolition of untouchability. In the acts dimension, you can mention SCST Prevention of Atrocities Act. In the schemes, you can mention PM Ajay, that is Pradhan Mantri Anusuchit Jati Abhyuday Yojana. In the commissions, you can mention National Commission on SC. Like this, you can generate the points. And also, you can mention some reports that are United Nations Development Program Human Development Report, Gender Gap Report for Question on Women, Niti Aayog SDG Index, Oxfam Inequality Report for Income Inequality Question, and Global Multidimensional Poverty Index Report for Question on Poverty. Now we'll see what we can write in the way forward. The first point is targeted policy design with disaggregated data, community-led models of empowerment, use of technology or last mile delivery. For example, Jam Trinity is Jandan account, Aadhaar, and mobile linkage. Social audit and accountability architecture, that is, for example, e-Gram Swaraj portal. Legal literacy and awareness drives for addressing the digital divide. Strengthen local institutions like self-help groups and panchayat, and ensure participatory democracy. Time-bound grievance redressal mechanism. In the way forward also, these are the same points you can write on every question, but you should change the examples and write. Now we'll see what we can write in the conclusion. You can link your conclusion with emphasis on Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas, which was recently added by PM Modi. And also invoke Dr. Ambedkar's vision of social democracy. And you can link it to the Amrit Kal and Viksit Bharat by 2047. Now let us summarize what we have seen in this video. I have given you a ready-made template to write an answer on a vulnerable sections, that is introduce with defining the vulnerable sections, or write a code by giving an example of women. You can enrich your answer by writing constitutional dimension. You can mention fundamental rights or DPSP. In the significant section, you can write these points. And we have seen the challenges, impacts or implications, and steps taken so far, and the reports you can mention in your answer, and a way forward, and further a conclusion. I will come up with the next important theme. Until then, I hereby signing off, one of the unreserved mind of UPSC community. Thank you.